Alright, so if you're still with me, I'm going to ask you to bear with me a little bit longer here. We're almost done. I'm going to go kind of quickly here. I'm going to skip a lot too, because I keep trying to do this and it's not working out for me. Um, but there's the walker frame. And what is this? Just an OBJ. I know I loaded it a couple times, but it's just an OBJ because I got tired of having to hunt down the OBJ. So I imported it once and then saved it out as a figure prop asset. I'm going to go ahead and change it into a figure though. I'm going to do that now because I'm going to need it that way later. And to do that, you just take, it's a prop now, so you come over here to edit and then rigging and go change prop to figure. And I'm just going to go with general weight mapping because I don't need all the triax stuff. I'm going to go ahead and inherit the skeleton of the parent. I'm going to uncheck inherit skeleton of the parent because there is no parent for one, and because if I didn't, it would come up with the root bone would be hip, which is a silly name for this walker. So I'm going to change that to frame, and you can see there now that I'm not going to bother cleaning up the name because I'm just trying to get this done at this point. And I went and I resaved out. I made all the legs using the cool technique where you just basically move it and then you move the geometry and then you save it, or move the rigging. Move the geometry, move the rigging, memorize the rigging. Don't forget to memorize the rigging. You save it out and then you do that search and replace on the actual files to change the name so they come out differently. If I unselect that. Now these I've already messed with and set up. I think except for the 2, I don't remember if I did FL2, which is the one that I showed making. Yeah, I already tweaked it. Alright, so there's all 8 legs plus the frame. Right, and you can see the legs are all offset a little bit. Whoops, what was that? And that's so that it can walk. Because if all the legs are in the exact same position all the time, it would fall over rather than walk. And because I saved these all out, they were parented and fit to at the time, so everything's all weird. But they should be parented to the main frame. Are those 2 parented to the frame? No. Let me get those 2 parented to the frame. So it should all be parented to the frame, and they should all at this point be followers. And some of them are, some of them aren't. I'm just going to go like that and make them all. Alright. Now if we look at one, not that one, if we look at this one, and we go to the controls, you can see it's got the modulo dial is set to a default of 0.8, which of course pushes that to 8 or 80. And that's that offset value. I sat down the other day when I did this the first time through and figured out, you can't really see from there, you can see the ground plane, but I figured out where the foot came into contact, at what point in the step, and at what point in the step it left contact with the ground. So if I do that, you can see there it comes into contact at 0.8, and then it goes through, rolls past 0, and it's at 0.2 or thereabouts where it comes back off the ground. So those are the values I used for that one anyways. But then I just shifted that range. It's 4 because it rolls over, so you go 8 and you go 9, 10, and then you start back over at 1 and 2, and that's 4 steps forward or whatnot. Got it all set up. Did all sorts of try runs, used a little bit of math theory to figure out what the value on each relative leg would be, so that they all lined up nice, and so that you always had 2 feet on the ground, one on each side, front and back. So you're always going to have 2 legs, or 2 feet on the ground, one on each side, and same for the front. You'll always have stability there, so it doesn't tip over, even though it's a 3D model. It wouldn't tip over unless you made it tip over. It'd be silly to look like it's going to tip over. We're going to add the drive dial that we had talked so much about. In fact, no, I'm not. I'm just going to do this because it's, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Undo that. Okay. I'm just going to do this. Let me do this. I'm just going to rip those off and delete that. And then I'm going to come over here and load in this one here that I already have set up with the dials, because it's just making it. I'm going to go ahead and reparent these and redo the fit. Alright, so come over here, and I've already made the 2 dials. There's the drive dial and a steer dial. They don't do anything right now. We're going to set those up, and this is the drive dial, and basically makes it go forward. And when it's at 1, the back legs, I'm going to select all 4 back legs here so I can get all the parameters up at the same time and do it all at once. The back legs, however, go backwards, so they go -1. When it goes forward 1, the back legs are walking the other direction, or they're rotating the other direction, I guess, is the better way to explain it. And the drive dial drives these drive dials. And so those are the ones I'm going to change. I'm just going to make them all -1 for now. So this is what they should be at when this control dial here is there. I can get the front legs before I forget. I'll do the front legs, and those drive dials should be at 1 because the front legs go forward. Back legs rotate backwards, the front legs rotate forward. That's not the right one. Where is it? Oh, that one was already set because I'm messing with it before I loaded it back in. Okay, there we are. Alright, so those go forward. The back legs go back. So now everything, go back into edit mode. Everything is set up the way it should be. When drive is at 1, drive is the control dial, so it's the one I right click next to or select and click on. Go ERC freeze, and it shows you it's going to push the back legs to -1. It's going to push the front legs to 1, which is right. So we go like that, and now the drive dial works. And when you dial it, all the legs move. Let's get it over a little bit more. All the legs drive like that. Restore that. Here's the steering dial. The steering dial's got limits -1 to 1. Basically, the way I'm going to treat that is like a steering wheel. If you go that way, it's going to turn. If you go like that, pretend we're driving it. We take the dial all the way that way, it's going to go that way, which is left. So at -1, we want the left legs to actually be running backwards because it steers like a tank. So I want the legs on the left side to all go backwards, and it's the offset that we've set up to do that because it's the multiplier controls the speed. In this case, it's going to be -1 will be the speed, so it's actually running backwards at full speed. Offset, that's what I'm looking for. Here's the offset dial. So we'll throw all these offset dials. And because there's no change to the right legs, we're not going to adjust them yet. Because when it goes to -1, we don't want the right legs to do anything. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to ERC freeze these 4 settings here. It's the left legs running at a speed of -1, I guess is the way you can phrase that. Alright, so that's set up now, and you can't actually see it do anything because it's a multiplier and there's no value of drive. It basically multiplies the drive on each individual leg, and there's no value. We'll go ahead and set up the other half. Now, because we got the limits of those offset dials set at -1 and 1, and their default is 1. Even though I've hooked up the ERC, so when these left legs go to when the steering dial is at -1, the left legs will go to -1. And of course, the opposite of that, which would normally work, would be that when I push it to 1, they would go the other direction 1 degree. They'd go to 2, but they won't because I have the limit set at 1. And so I can treat them separately, and we'll just do an ERC freeze on it twice. But right now I'm making a right turn, so I need to set all the offsets on the right leg. I skipped that one. Offsets on the right legs over here to -1. Alright, and we're going to come back over here to the dial that drives all that, and ERC freeze it, and you can see it's only changing the right legs because the other legs are pinned at their limits right now. So now if I apply a little bit of a drive value, you can see, well here, if I apply a little bit of drive, and then I change that, you can see those legs moving. That's because the multiplier, the speed at which they've rotated to 1.5, is being changed. And if I go like, well, let me do it about half right there. So that's going to be, it's going to be a right turn. So these legs here are going to barely move. If we went on the other side of 0.5, they'd actually go backwards. But up until you get to between 0 and 0.5, they just go slower. That goes really slow. So if we dial it now, you can see the legs on the right side are rotating at their normal speed, and the legs on the left side are moving really slow. Maybe you can't see that because the video is jumpy, but it is, trust me. kick all that back to Alt. There it goes. Kick all that back. What I'm going to do now is just trying to remember what I'm doing next. Alright, I'm going to try and do this without closing Studio and saving, because I've done that a couple of times. Whenever you're messing with the geometry, you're doing the like the update in the geometry, any of that deep, complicated stuff like that, and especially what we're going to do next year, it's a good idea not just to clear out the scene, but to restart Studio, because it doesn't always work, because Studio is doing an awful lot of stuff and things go weird, especially when you got all this going on here. But I've got the walker, and you can drive it. And so you're like, well, that's pretty cool, obviously, but it'd be great if you could, not have to do that with so many figures. It's great because you can use it. You got 8. So yeah, you got these 8 independent figures, kind of complicated rigging. And they're all virtually identical. They got complicated rigging, a lot of dialing stuff going on. It'd be a pain in the neck to have to do that 8 times. So you do it once and convert it over. So you wind up with 8 figures plus the frame itself. So you got 9 figures, which probably has some overhead. I'm not totally sure if 9 figures is more memory intensive than one larger figure. But it's kind of awkward. It does look kind of weird. And the users, it'd be great if we could clean that up basically and have just one figure without having to do everything individually. Fortunately, we can if we're lucky. Because like I said, Studio gets kind of weird sometimes, especially when you're doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the legs, and I'm going to unparent them real quick, or unfit them. Yeah, I'm going to unfit them, and did I unparent? Yeah, they're unparented, unfit. I'm going to take one, and then I'm going to reparent it. I don't know why I unparented it instead of just leaving one fit. There we go. I'm going to parent it, going to fit it, do all that stuff. All right. I'm going to hide those just to make sure. I don't know if, you know what, I think I did have them hidden before when it worked. Maybe that was the trick. So I'm going to hide all the stuff I don't want involved in the next step. So I got one leg. It's fit to. It has to be fit to. You got to have a figure here. You got to have a figure there. They both got to be triax figures. I don't know that they both have to have the same type of weight mapping. Not having the same type of weight mapping could probably cause issues. Pretty much anything could potentially cause an issue with what's about to happen here, because it's silly complicated, but it's awesome cool. I forgot the actual next point. But yeah, here's figure there, figure there. I'm going to select the main figure. I'm going to come over here to the geometry editor. It used to be the polygon editor. Still looks like a polygon editor. Now it's the geometry editor because he added all sorts of more wider range of geometry stuff. If you came over to tool settings, we don't need to, but you can see it's got polygons. You can do lines. You can do the actual verts, and you can do all sorts of cool stuff. One of the cool things you can do, when you got a figure and it's parented to another figure, and that's where I was going. The rigging, everything's got its unique name. All the morphs have all the face groups. Everything is totally separate, unique between the legs, between the figure itself, or between the frame. Everything's unique, differently named. So there's little to no chance that there's going to be overlap or confusion internally for Studio regarding what is what. So here, let me get to the point. You select the root figure with the polygon editor, geometry editor tool. You come over here and you just right click somewhere. You go geometry editing. You go merge fitted figures geometry. Even though it says figures with the S in parentheses implying more than one, I strongly recommend you only do one at a time, because again, there's a lot of rigging going on, a lot of dials. There aren't morphs in this case, but you can do this with whatever, as long as it's a triax figure or 2 triax figures. So there can be morphs involved. And you say yes when it's warning you can't undo it. Are you sure you want to do it? It says the morph or the merge finished successfully. And you can see it's taken and it's added basically it's added the leg. It's still here. This is all just empty geometry now. We can or empty rig. So we can delete that. We don't need it anymore because it's actually merged it into the main one here, and you can see it's got all the bones, all the dials. Everything is still there. Everything still works. If I came over here to controls and I did drive, I didn't realize drive wasn't already at 0. but I can do the drive dial. The ERC is all still hooked up. The ERC is all worked. You can see it's moved to the individual legs dial because they were at the root level, and this is the new root level. It's moved them over there. Had there been morphs, it would have updated the morphs. It updates the geometry so that what used to be separate geometry of the leg and the frame is now all one geometry. It updates any vertex references inside the morphs that need to be updated so that the morphs still work the way they worked. Updates the links to the ERC as long as everything's named individually. If things are named the same, then you start to get conflicts and weird stuff like that. I'm going to do it again with this leg here, and just because I messed it up, I'm going to hit that button. Okay. I'm going to take that leg there, and we'll go General, Miscellaneous, and one more time I'll show you. And we go fit it to that. We're going to go ahead and let it parent because it's a good habit to be in. Select the root figure, geometry, editing, merge fitted figure. Yes, we're sure. Okay, thank you. And we can delete that one there because we don't need it anymore. And you can see there's the second leg. And again, if we come over here to the controls and dial the drive, you can see that everything's still working fine. And you just basically continue along those lines. I'm not going to continue along those lines. I'm just going to come over here and grab the one I've already done. I think that's it. I can't remember if that's the one that works or the one that doesn't work. That's the one that doesn't work. I'm going to grab this one. There, that's the one that works. And so here, once you're done, you've combined everything in. Again, these dials, not again, but these dials here, I'm just going to, the ones that it imported over from the individual legs. And where is steer? It got in there somewhere. Okay, I'm going to select all those. I'm going to go ahead and hide all those. There's no real reason for the users to be doing it because I've set up everything to go off of the drive and steer dials. So I'm going to go ahead and, where is it hidden? I'm going to hide all those dials. So now the only ones that are actually going to be available to, or visible to the users are going to be that drive dial there. There it is. It's very jumpy because of the recording. But yeah. There's the drive dial, and somewhere down here is the steer dial, and you can see it's pushing everything. Everything still works. Make sure you remember to save it out. Save that out as something that you saw. I loaded it back in, totally different name. Make sure you got a good creative name for the backend files. When you save it, so you can save it again. But that's basically how you rig this silly, complicated, mechanical walking doodad. That would be a nightmare if you had to do all 8 legs individually, but you don't. You can copy it. You can do the modulo function to turn a straight line dial. Just push the dial, push the dial, push the dial, push the dial into a looping value. Use ERC freeze, no, keyed ERC to make non-linear dials. You can use update geometry and transfer rigging shape, or transfer rigging figure space to move an object or move a figure, and you can use that merge fitted geometry to turn 2 figures into 1 figure.